Does Du Bois provide sufficient claims to support his argument? In this lesson, you will learn to delineate and evaluate an argument by considering the validity of an author's claims. Now, a good reader knows that an argument is a well-constructed discussion aimed to convince someone of something. That it must include present some kind of problem and some solutions and some reasoning. This is sometimes all called argument, right? Claims and reasoning. So in a claim, we have a problem and we have a solution, and that's all backed up by the reasons. And then together, the claims and the reasons form the argument. We need to look at the claims and the reasons the author offers in order to evaluate his argument, to say, is this a good argument? A mistake some readers make is to read an argument without breaking it apart and thinking about the claim used to construct that argument. What does the author use to try to convince you of their point? All right, so we're going to reread the passage closely, paying attention to the evidence Du Bois presents, and ask ourselves, do the claims that Du Bois offers support his argument? So in order to do that, we need to highlight sections where the author writes about problems and solutions in the text. And then we're going to ask, why does the author believe the solution will work? Then we need to outline the problem, solutions, and reasons. And then finally, we're going to ask, are the problems, solutions, and reasons valid? Are they true? So here's our question again. Does Du Bois provide sufficient claims to support his argument? Does he give us sufficient reasoning? Does he present true problems and solutions that support those problems? Let's look on page 6. And here I'm going to highlight places where I see a problem. The bright ideals of the past, physical freedom, political power, the training of brains, and the training of hands, all these in turn have waxed and waned until even the last grows dim and overcast. And I think that's a problem. So I'm going to highlight it. And it's asking me, are they all wrong, all false? No, not that. But each alone was oversimple and incomplete. The dreams of a credulous race, childhood, are the fond imaginings of the other world which does not know and does not want to know our power. To be really true, all these ideals must be melted and welded into one. Okay, so here again we get the physical freedom, the political power, the training of brains, and that is really a problem. The ideals of freedom, political power, and education have dimmed. Then in here we get to what is the heart of the matter? What is our solution? Right? That these ideals should be enacted together. They must be melted and welded into one. All right? Let's look at another example just a little bit further down in the text. All these things we need not singly but together. All right? So again, that's speaking to our solution. It says, why? Why do we need all these things together? Because it's the ideal of human brotherhood in order that someday on American soil 2 world races may give each to each those characteristics both so sadly lack. We, the darker ones, come even now not altogether empty-handed. There are today no truer exponents of the pure human spirit, of the Declaration of the Independence, than the American Negroes. The American fairy tales are Indian and African, and all in all we black men seem the sole oasis of simple faith and reverence in a dusty desert of dollars and smartness. So why do we need to enact all of these together? What does America get out of it? It's the ideal of human brotherhood. But because there are no truer exponents of the human spirit, right? And that all of the tales that come from America, American fairy tales, they are Indian and African. And that African Americans provide a simple faith and reverence, an example of that for everyone. So here we go. Why do we have that? Human brotherhood. Because America will get the example of a love of freedom, of stories, and simple faith from African Americans. And that this will make the nation stronger. All right? So let's just outline then what are problems, solutions, and reasons offered by the author. Again, the problems that the ideals of freedom, political power, and education have dimmed. What are our solutions? To enact all of these ideals together. And why? What is the reasoning? Why should we do this? Because if we do, because America will get the example of a love of freedom, stories, and simple faith from African Americans, and this will make the nation stronger. So then I need to ask myself about each of these things. Is this valid? Are the ideals of freedom, political power, and education, have they dimmed for African Americans in the early 19th century when this was written? I would say that is a valid claim. That had happened. Um, should enacting all of these ideals together, will that solve the problem? And it will. Okay? And is this a good enough reason? Is this a good reason to do that? Because it will make the nation stronger. Because we get all of these, America will benefit from the strength of all of these characteristics that African Americans have. Because it's a matter of human brotherhood. And I have to say yes. So then I know when the problems, the solutions, and the reasoning, the claims and the reasoning are true, that I have in there a valid argument. Okay? And I need to look at it just one more time because I'm going to answer my question. And when I look at the problems, when I look at those solutions, when I look at these reasons, all right, and I ask myself, does Du Bois provide sufficient evidence? Does he provide sufficient claims? And I just want to sum that up in a statement. Du Bois claims that African Americans should have access to all American ideals because they have a rightful place in America or in American society. They are sufficient, these claims are sufficient, and they are valid. So in this lesson, we highlighted problems and solutions in the text. Then we asked, why does the author believe the solution will work? We outlined those problems, solutions, and reasons. And then finally we asked, are the problems, solutions, and reasons valid? In this lesson, you have learned to delineate and evaluate an argument by considering the validity of an author's claims.